All right, the time is now 6:04 p.m. The Board of Education will now reconvene in open session. Roll call.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Here.
Mr. Lara,
Here.
Ms. Cabral,
Present.
Mrs. Cordero,
Here.
Mr. Valencia.
Present.
Ms. Cornell,
Yes.
last year I forgot one of the teachers. And yesterday at our great get together, I remembered who it was. It's Sarah Flores. So Sarah Flores here.
Dr. McDuffie, do we have a report out from closed session?
Yes, we do. The Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Viviani P. Kotowski, area administrator. The roll call vote was unanimous.
Thank you very much. Oh,
two more.
pardon me.
Yeah, the Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Andrew McLaughlin, elementary assistant principal. The roll call vote was unanimous. And the Board of Education accepted the administrative appointment of Jeanette Herrera, coordinator of multilingual services. The roll call vote was unanimous. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. I'm going to start waiting for that cue. For items B and C, information was shared. For item D, information was also shared. Item B, introduction of interpreters. Tonight's interpreters are Sandra Cavazos and Benito Flores. Greeting and support this evening is provided by Benji Alfaro. Item C, Pledge of Allegiance. Do we have any young people here to lead us through the pledge? No, seeing none. Mr. Hollinshead? Mr. Hollinshead, would you mind leading us?
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item 8, public comment period, open session. The public comments are intended for members of the public to address the Board of Education on items involving the school district. Such testimony shall be limited to 3 minutes each, 250 words per person and subject, and 15 minutes total for each topic. If an answer to a specific question is requested, the board president will, if appropriate, direct administration to respond in writing. This is just a reminder to all speakers and presenters to please be mindful when speaking at the podium and not speak too quickly so that our interpreters can increase accuracy and keep pace with our Spanish and Mixtec speaking audience. Do we have any non-agenda public comments this evening, Dr. McDuffie?
No, we do not.
Okay. And do we have any public comments for agendized items this evening?
No, we do not.
Okay, thank you very much. Item 9, approval of agenda as presented. Dr. McDuffie, do we have any changes to the agenda this evening?
No.
Thank you. Seeing none, may I have a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
So moved.
I'll second.
It is moved by Mr. Hollinshead and seconded by Ms. Cordero to approve the agenda as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Hollinshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 10, consent items. Actions proposed for the consent agenda are consistent with adopted policies and approved practices of the district and are deemed routine in nature. They will be acted upon by roll call vote in one motion without discussion unless a member of the board requests an item be pulled from the consent agenda for further discussion. Items pulled from the consent agenda will be voted on separately. May I have a motion to approve the consent items? Yes, yes.
Before I make the motion to approve the multiple items on our consent agenda, I would simply like to state that a number of these items have been before us previously for discussion and are simply coming back for approval. So I don't want anyone out there thinking that we are just randomly approving all of these items without due consideration. And with that, I will move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
It is moved by Ms. Cordero and seconded by Mr. Lara to approve the consent items as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Hollingshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Motion passes. Item 11, action items. Item A, agreement with BSK Lab of Record to provide special education and instruction, and materials testing services for solar improvement projects at 21 district school sites. Mr. Cavazos.
Good evening, board members.
Good evening.
Superintendent Dr. McDuffie, Cabinet. Okay, so tonight, this evening, I have an agreement with BSK Associates in the amount of $200,660. This is a new contract. Services rendered for this agreement are going to be testing and special inspections for our solar improvement projects district-wide. This is, the sites receiving improvements are all our schools except for Arianes Elementary, which the solar array is going on the junior high side, plus the district office. DSA does require that this inspection happen continuously while all construction activity is taking place. Types of inspections include peer drilled observations, concrete sampling, high strength bolt inspections, tensile strength of rebar, concrete compression testing, and welding inspections as well. BSK has a proven track record and experience working on DSA solar projects of this size and this nature. Most importantly, BSK has the manpower to staff inspectors for us to be able to stay on schedule. So we have been working additional hours every day since the last month, and we've been working on Saturdays and Sundays so that we can complete a majority of the heavy construction before students return tomorrow. And then BSK has experience working with the district. They were actually the testing lab of record for the structural steel fabrication. So with that, I'll open it up to any questions.
Ms. Cordero?
This is really more of a technical question. You clarified it for me, but in the actual recommendation, it states 21 district school sites. And technically that would not be correct. What you have on the slide is 20 school sites and the district office. So I just am trying not to get us into any kind of a jam. I don't know if 21 district sites would make that totally
More accurate.
true.
Mhm. I'll defer to.
Well, it's here, but I don't believe the agreement states that. So as we recommend this this for approval, it shouldn't have any bearing on that. It's not a
Okay.
material
I just
change.
wouldn't want us to get into
Right.
a jam because it was a little bit out of alignment with
Sure.
whatever.
So the project out at Arianes, I believe, is only on the junior high side.
Correct.
So I think that could be part of the reason why there's that site missing. But Dr. McDuffie is correct. We're going to sign the contract that obligates them to commit the work or commit to the work that exists, not based on the verbiage here in the recommendation.
Okay. Just nitpicky, sorry.
Yeah, Mr. Hunted.
Two things. Thank you. I know that you've coordinated a lot with all this on the sites. They've gone up, all the structures have gone up quickly, and I don't know what we had to do with the placement, but actually I think the placement in a lot of places, in a lot of the sites, enhances some of the sites' shade for folks parking their cars or what have you. And so I appreciate our appreciation. I'm extending our appreciation to you and your staff, Javier, and for our job. Really well done. I know it's not finished and this is part of it, but this is also doing your due diligence and we appreciate that too. The other thing I mentioned to Dr. McDuffie today was there are a few sites where the angle is such that were they to be lit, as many are for security purposes on other campuses, at Hancock or Rigetti or those guys, want to reach out maybe to our neighbors and make them aware and stuff and just kind of be good neighbors to them, because that light may be impactful to them. Just wanted to maybe make you guys aware of that, checking some of those sites. I know for me, walking past Miller, if they were to be lit, then that would affect the folks right across the street. So just something that we can maybe reach out to folks and say that's going to happen and
Yeah,
be a good neighbor.
First of all, thank you. And obviously, we have a really strong team at M&O, James, Michaelis, Richard Medina, Joey Vicente, Letty, Barbara, and Mary Lou. We've all been working, plus our maintenance staff has done an excellent job being able to respond whenever issues came out in the field. We were able to get out there, whether it be irrigation, power, whatever came up, we were quick to respond. So that way, again, we could keep construction rolling on. So it's a complete effort among everybody at M&O and our great contractors that we've been fortunate enough to team up with. So definitely did a lot of work in a short period of time. It took all of us working together to be able to accomplish this. We'll definitely make note of the lights, because all the arrays will receive lighting in the parking lots. But we'll make sure that those also are connected to our energy management system to ensure that they come off and that we're able to dim them if the brightness is an issue.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Welcome.
Any other questions or comments from the board? All right, seeing none, may I have a motion?
I'll move to approve the agreement with BSK Lab of Record to provide special inspection and materials testing services for solar improvement project at 21 district school sites as presented.
May I have a second? Second. It is moved by Ms. Cordero and seconded by Mr. Hollinshead that the Board of Education approve the agreement with BSK Lab of Record to provide special inspection and materials testing services for solar improvement project at 21 district school sites as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Hollinshead.
Aye.
Mr. Lara.
Aye.
Ms. Cabral.
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero.
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Motion passes. Item B, Alvin Elementary School Plan for Student Achievement. Mrs. Hamilton.
Good evening, everybody. Hello,
Good evening.
for trustee, superintendent. I'm here. Is there a slide that's coming up for us? Okay. Thank you. All right. I'm here to present our SIPs of this evening. I'm going to go over our goals and our strategies. So,
Miss Hamilton, just real quick, could you tell us who you are?
me, oh, hi, proud principal of Alvin Elementary, home of the Tigers. Whoop, whoop. Yes. And we're ready for our kids to come tomorrow. It's been exciting. And also thank you, Javier, for all the hard work on our projects. It's been a lot. I don't know how they're getting it all done. And we're getting very close. It's very exciting. So yeah, hello. So I'm here to present our goals. So obviously, everything that we do is wrapped around our 4 goals. So engage families and communities to fill our mission. And some of our strategies about that, if you go straight across, is family education and engagement events. We work with PK. I've worked for PK about 4 years. It's a fabulous partnership with them. And then Rosetta Stone licenses and Chromebooks for our parents, dual language books for literacy and multicultural education. Goal 2, we will recruit, support, retain high quality people. What that looks like at our site is professional learning focused on supporting multilingual learners through research-based literacy materials and best practices. really focused on instructional leadership team collaboration meetings, or ILT, and collaboration time to support all of our students through highly skilled literacy educators across our system. Third, we will provide structures and facilities to support inclusive learning experiences. That is professional learning materials to support multilingual learners and literacy, really focused on more dual language books to build literacy in the classroom, and family engagement opportunities at our school, including flexible seating materials to foster varied learning experiences to meet all of our students' needs. And then we will nurture the whole child, and so create a campus environment that is physically, socially, and emotionally safe for all students by increasing the positive relationships between students and caring adults. And so I'm here tonight to, let me get my notes out. My first time doing this, so I'm a little bit nervous. Sorry about that. And I think this is the point where I read this, right? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I'm going to ask the boss over here. So in meeting the compliance requirements, is this what I'm doing? Yes? Yeah. Okay. For the school plan of student achievement, the school site council for Alvin School has approved the proposed 24-25 SIPSA. The Alvin Elementary SIPSA reflects the investment plan for supplemental LCFF and Title I funds across the 4 SMBSD LCAP goals. Highlights of actions and services when those SIPSA include, again, I already shared professional learning for high quality academic and social emotional instruction. The Alvin Elementary SIPSA is in its entirety is attached for your reference. You should have all of that, and then go from there. So.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Does that conclude your presentation?
I'm sorry?
Does that conclude your presentation?
That does conclude my presentation.
Thank you.
Okay.
Board colleagues, Mr. Hollinshead.
Hello, Ms. Hamilton.
Hello. I like that you have our tiger out there. Thank you
I
very
know I
much.
almost dropped, I did drop it. I just, fortunately, it was a short drop.
Okay.
Couple of questions.
Okay.
What's flexible seating materials to
Mhm.
foster? What are those flexible, like, is it silicone?
Oh, well, so some of our students, we have like stretchy bands that go at the base of chairs. So they can kick it and it's quiet. It doesn't disturb other students, but it helps them really kind of maintain focus. We have wobbly chairs, bouncy balls, all kinds of fun things for our students. And so they have opportunities to kind of self-select what they need so that they can be engaged in the learning.
Okay. So it's kind of what it sounds like.
Totally.
Yeah. Okay. And then just, when you're going through and spending this money as a site council, are there ways, like I know myself, when I've tried Duolingo, Rosetta, all those things, there's definitely, you have to really stick with it, and the efficacy is marginal.
Mhm.
So are you guys going to kind of like reassess and see if people actually used it to continue that license?
Yeah. So last year we we had 50 licenses that went out with 50 Chromebooks. And my tech with my team, we kind of monitor, we can see how the parent usage, and we had great. Would we like more? Yes, of course. But we had parents that came back, and when I actually had to have them come and check the books, the Chromebooks and a little bit earlier, just because of the time that we start, I had a lot of parents just saying, why are you taking this? Can we still have it? Can we do it? And then a lot of my parents will just come to the gate in the morning for breakfast and chit chat with me and practice their English, and I practice
Okay.
my Spanish. And so, yeah. They're really excited at our first PK night that we have coming up for our orientation. I have Eduardo Panting, who's going to come talk with their parents, and my tech guy, Esteban Benitez, is going to be handing Chromebooks out. So we're going to with my ELD coach, just little soft touches of support when parents have questions or just checking in on how's it going? Do you need help? Is a tech an issue? So
Awesome. Yeah, and that was kind of part of the segue was, is there follow-up so that they can actually exchange and practice, kind of
Yeah,
like a
that-
DLI tape?
yeah, and that's kind of where we're going last year. Based
Awesome.
on the usage reports, we had really, I think, fairly well, and just following up with them with like the soft touches from the office and our tech person, do you need help? Is there something wrong? Is it a tech issue? That's really
Yeah.
part of our plan for this year.
That's really great to hear. Thank you. And then one last question. I know most sites, the school site council and the DLAC meet together. So was DLAC part of this, and at least that they are aware of all the choices or the things that needed for funding, and then pass that information along to folks?
Yeah, really the feedback loop has come through school site council. It had been that way in the past, but this year we're separating those two meetings, so they'll happen. And so with my ELD coach and some of my other folks, we're going to just kind of wrap in some of that education and pull them in a little bit more around those services and what that means for them. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Mr.
Anything
Lara?
else?
Ms. Hamilton,
Yes.
I know the school year is barely starting, but do you have a day and time when that PK meeting is going to be happening? Not, or?
Yeah,
we
we
send
do.
it out?
It's, hold on, let me go. 22nd, we're starting, the orientation is at 6:00. Childcare provided, some conchas and some other good things. So hope you can come. Love to have you guys. The 22nd.
Next
I'm going to
Thursday.
email you right now once I get back to my computer just to confirm because I got so many dates going in my head. But yeah, it's the 22nd, 6:00.
All right, thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ms. Hamilton, if you just email Kristen, we can get it in the board update.
Yeah,
for the
absolutely.
board,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'll send you an invite. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Okay.
All right.
Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I'll make the recommendation that the Board of Education approve the 2024-2025 Alvin Elementary School Plan.
It is moved by Mr. Lara and seconded by Ms. Cordero that the Board of Education approve the 2024-2025 Alvin Elementary as presented. Roll call.
Mr. Hollenshead,
Aye.
Mr. Lara,
Aye.
Ms. Cabral,
Aye.
Mrs. Cordero,
Aye.
Mr. Valencia.
Aye. Motion passes. I also just want to commend Ms. Hamilton and her school site. You did mention, I believe, that your PLC's focus on supporting our English language learners. I just came back from a school board, the California Latino School Board Conference. We know that the current state for our English learners is dire across the state. We know that we need to do much better. And we also know that when we provide strategies for our English language learners, all of our students benefit from that. So I really want to appreciate your team for that emphasis. Item C, agreement with Paradigm Healthcare Services to provide a Medi-Cal billing / student health network database for state billing. Mr. Palmerston.
Thank you, President Valencia, School Board, Dr. McDuffie. Very tough act to follow with Ms. Hamilton. So Mark Palmerston, Director of People Services. And this evening, I bring for you approval of a renewal contract for Paradigm Health Services. This is our software services and Medi-Cal billing for our Student Health Network database and supports our increased reimbursement for billable mental health and Medi-Cal billing services that we're providing within our district. This is a one-year contract, but with a service that we've been using for the past 3 years within our district. They are a preferred provider for the Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative fee-based billing program, which is expanding our ability to reimburse many of the mental health and Medi-Cal reimbursable services that we're providing in our district. And along with that, we are one of the first groups of students within the county or schools within the county to expand some of those billable services. A total of up to $80,000 in cost for both the software and services, but also the Student Health Network database. So, any questions?
Mr. Hollenshead, followed by Ms. Cordero.
So I'm sorry, I outrun you. If we're on Jeopardy, I'll take, oh, no. Could you give an example of what professional would be administering the service and to what kind of students? So what are we billing? What are we able to bill for and stuff?
Historically, there are specific medical type services, typically with our nurses and other mental health supports. All have specific things that we can bill for. What Paradigm helps ensure is that whatever we're putting into the system will actually actually billable services and ensures that then once that gets to the state review, that we're billing for the right services. One of those additional kind of expanded places where we're able to bill for increased services, our wellness coaches, which were just approved, the RFP for our wellness coaches is one of those specific things that will allow us, in addition, our Promotora family outreach have new and specific training that will allow us in the upcoming school year to start billing for some of the services each of those service providers provide. And there's a specific fee schedule that provides for us what those services are and what we can bill for. So some easy ones to think about are some of our nurse activities, some of our mental health specialist activities, and some of the things that are provided by our specially trained promotoras, family outreach, and the other example wellness coaches. Thank you for that question. Did I make a typo, Ms. Cordero?
Ms. Cordero.
Okay, the last statement is SMBSD is participating in cohort 1 of CYBHI fee-based schedule.
Yeah.
What is CYBHI?
Children and Youth Behavioral Health Initiative, fee-based
I
billing.
knew you would have to know that.
Yeah, well, I wrote it in the line above, so I wouldn't forget.
So you were not expecting us to just know what that was?
No, but I was trying to save some words on there. And so
Right.
in terms of that, we are participating in sort of the advanced cohort of all of the steps that it will take for the expanded reimbursement. And it will provide us the opportunity to have another stream of revenue that could help offset some of the costs associated with our expanded health services and mental health supports for our students and families. Thanks for that. I got that one. You got another question for me?
No, I just think this is really great. I know Medi-Cal billing is a nightmare.
Yeah.
Has been for a very long time. I'm sure it's improved over the 3 years that they've been helping, but I know it's pretty distant, my recollection, but Medi-Cal billing they don't make it easy.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I'll move that the Board of Education approve the agreement with Paradigm Healthcare Services to provide the district with a Medi-Cal billing / student health network database for state billing as presented. Bell second.
It is moved by Ms. Cordero and seconded by Ms. Cabral that the Board of Education approve the agreement with Paradigm Health Care Services to provide the district with Medi-Cal billing student health network database for state billing as presented. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
And before you leave, Mr. Palmerston, is that a Loteria lanyard you have on?
It is. It's a gift from a special education instructional assistant who was a student supervision aide at Fessler, and she gifted this to me. And I appreciate you recognizing that. It always gets lots of attention and is a special gift.
Yeah, it's a conversation starter. It connects to the culture of our families. And so, Hispanic Heritage Month is coming up very soon.
Yeah.
So it relates to something that I'm gonna bring up earlier. So,
Yeah.
yeah, nice lanyard.
Soledad Uribe is her name, and she works with our students in special education at Fessler.
Excellent. Props
Thank-
where props is due. Thank you.
Thank
very
you
much.
so much.
Item D, ratification of a sole source agreement with McGraw-Hill to provide student licenses and professional services for Achieve 3000 and Smarty Ants. Mrs. Danley,
Thank you. Good evening.
good evening.
So I have 2 slides here for you, and they're a contract that is put together. The first, it's all contract with McGraw-Hill. So the first portion that you see is for Achieve 3000. And Achieve 3000 is the portion of this contract that is used in grades 3 through 8. So think about that. And then the next slide will address the portion of the program that is used in kinder through 2nd grade. So the estimate of the cost of the contract for the Achieve 3000 portion is sitting at $344,086. And this would include 9,991 student software licenses for Achieve 3000 literacy. That includes 4 on-site professional learning sessions, which we can schedule. It includes benchmark advanced textbook alignment because we have been using Achieve 3000 for at least 4 years. That was a goal to have it all integrated. It also integrates with NWA MAP, and it provides students with ELA, social studies, and science standards aligned content differentiated to 12 different Lexile levels in English and 8 in Spanish. So last year in Santa Maria Bonita School District, we had 9,991 students accessing the Achieve 3000 platform with 470,124 activities completed. And the average activity score is 63%. What an activity looks like is it's a nonfiction piece of reading that the teacher can go through with the students and then assign the students on their computers. But what's different for every student is because they take a level set test at the beginning of the year, it places them in the article at their Lexile level. So every student essentially would have the same article, but addressed, or they'd see it written at their Lexile level. So it matches the students where they are, but a little bit above, so that it pushes them to grow. And then the activity is that there's an assessment, there are questions afterwards or activities for the students to complete. So that's what it's referring to when it talks about an activity. The goal is that the Achieve 3000 sets is that students pass each of these activities with 70% or higher. So the average activity score in our district last year was 63%. And in Santa Maria Bonita School District last year, 73% of our students completed 50 or more activities throughout the year, averaging a growth of 140 Lexiles. The visual that you see below, I know it's small, but that just gives you an example of an article at the 4 different Lexile levels. So that's how it looks the same on the student screen. So when they're sitting next to each other, they see the same picture essentially and text, but it's written at the different Lexile level for them. You want to go to the next one? Oh, I thought you did everything. Okay, so then this is the Smarty Ants portion, and this is for students in kinder through 2nd grade. So the estimated cost, it's a smaller range of students, is $79,920. So that brings this whole contract to a total amount of $424,006. Again, this is a renewal contract. So this would include 16 unlimited site license bundles for Smarty Ants for foundational literacy instruction. It integrates into Google Classroom. It combines foundational skills, independent practice, and embedded assessment into this single program. Smarty Ants bundle includes Smarty Ants Espanol. So one study out of Florida found that the more Smarty Ants lessons students completed, the greater their RIT growth. Those who completed 60 lessons or more saw a RIT growth of 27 points compared to the typical growth of 17 points. RIT growth is also a measure that we use with our NWEA assessments. In Santa Maria Bonita School District last year, 4,811 of the active 5,883 students finished the school year either on target or at a higher Lexile level than their initial placement. So that is the kind of growth we want to see. Of course, we'd love to see that improve, see those numbers grow higher. The company helps us monitor growth, monitor data usage. Teachers have access to that usage. Site administrators have access to that usage as well. What questions do you have?
Any questions, board members? Ms. Cabral?
This isn't the first year we use this. We've used it for how many years?
I believe it's been 4.
4 years.
So the history is prior to using McGraw-Hill's products, every school used a different, had their choice of which platform they would use.
Mm-hmm.
And so you'd see students feed to a junior high, and some used this other platform, others used this, and then the junior high might use another one. But they all centered around reading, practice, lexile growth, assessment, and a library of text.
Yeah.
And so the move was to align what all students would receive so that it was the same and they all have the same access. And that was why McGraw-Hill's product was chosen.
Okay. Well, since we've used it for 4 years, have we seen an increase in the levels that our students have finished since they're continuing into the next year into the same data is used?
That
Have
is
we
a
seen
good
it?
question. I did not have multiple years of data to compare. I could access that.
Okay.
I've been in contact with the representatives of McGraw-Hill, but I could find that out and report that
Okay.
back to you.
Yeah, I just wanted to see if there's an increase in levels that they
Right,
Yes.
absolutely.
over the last 4 years. If
Yeah.
there's been an increase and if their reading is getting any better
Mhm.
over the 4 years. Yeah.
Did you still have a question, Ms. Cordero?
I was simply going to state that what makes this a little different from others is that all of the articles are nonfiction.
Yes.
So it helps with reading and understanding science or social studies or other academic areas. And nonfiction is, for the most part, more challenging for students. So, and a lot of times our standardized tests utilize nonfiction. So
Yeah.
hopefully and it is a supplemental program. So it really depends on how much a teacher may assign it or encourage or challenge students to utilize it will
Yeah.
determine their growth.
And with that being that it's all nonfiction articles, you think about the academic vocabulary that demands that brings versus just literary passages. And so there's that extra academic push on our students and the opportunities that it provides them grow with that. Yeah, thank you for pointing that out.
Any other questions? A few that I have are, is this used primarily during class? Do they have the option to use it after class? What does this look like?
Yes and yes. So they have the opportunity to use it in class. Teachers can assign specific activities. Students can also jump in and self-select the different passages and connected activities. It's turned on all the time, so they can use it after school hours, say in the after school program or at home or on the weekends.
And I appreciate you mentioning that this is available in English and Spanish, since we know a
Yeah.
significant number of our students, right, come in primarily speaking Spanish, or for our newcomer students. So I appreciate that makes it accessible. But a question that I have is how do we know that this is good for our kids, like this particular program? Could you talk about the vetting process?
I wasn't part of the vetting process. I would have to look back and ask because this has been used for at least 4 years in the district. The other programs that were used, I was only familiar with one because it was a different one that I used when I was at a junior high school. It wasn't this one. So I would have to get back to you on that,
Yeah,
on the
what
vetting process.
we can do is collect some information and see where the origin of actually going with this company. And then I can definitely put it in a weekly update for you, for the board.
Thank you. I appreciate hearing that you all are creating some consistency across our district, right? I know it's tempting sometimes for different folks that might gravitate toward one software compared to another. So I do appreciate that, but I definitely don't want us to just continue to use prior softwares just because that's what we used, right? Let's have, some data, let's have some, related to Ms. Cabral's question. How do we know this works, right? For our young people. And if it does, great, let's keep it going. If it doesn't, that's okay. Let's do something different. It reminds me of one of the things that they mentioned at the conference, and I think our Renda partners are also mentioning this. And they say, systems are designed to get the outcomes basically that they. How does the expression go, Dr. McDuffie? Do you remember? Can you say that, Mr. Hansen?
The system gets the results that it was designed to achieve.
Exactly. So if our current outcomes aren't where we want them to be, right? It's because that's the system that we currently have. So if we're looking for an alternative to improvement on that, then sometimes it means improving, some of the systems that we're currently using.
Right.
So that's the spirit of the question.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I'd be interested to look into this further. But knowing that we've had other initiatives introduced into our classrooms, my curiosity would be around, well, what would we attribute that if we do see growth, where are we going to attribute that growth to? Is it the use of this supplemental program? Is it all of the new strategies and beliefs that we have been building in our campuses because of the letters at the letters sites and all the instruction that they've been getting? We've had, the introduction of RTI teachers on our campuses and the work that they've been doing. We have just so many different resources and efforts that could be contributing, I hope, to increased results. So definitely I'd like to look into that and see what we can find out.
And do you happen to know what I know in education we talk about Lexile levels, but most folks don't use that educational jargon. They'll use like reading level, for example. Do you know what the average reading level is for our different grades at this point, approximately?
I do not. I'd have to look, and we will know that more clearly once the school year gets started and we have our first administration of our NWEA assessments. So we could maybe wait until that is, we see that window close, and then we would have a direct snapshot of our students currently. I could look back and find out where we landed in the spring.
Do you know, Dr. McDuffie, when we'll be receiving that?
No, and what I'll do is I'll talk to the board offline in regards to that, and then I'll consult with Maiju Lo Chung Vu in regards to what we can provide.
Thank you very much. Mr. Hollenton.
And I appreciate what you had to say, Ms. Cabral, about the longitudinal aspect of it. But I also appreciate though what you're saying, Ms. Stanley, about the so many variables. So I think we end up being somewhat reliant on points or growth of Lexile for this specifically, and then making that tie-in is going to be, it might not be as direct as we would hope for it to be. The two questions I had is, one, when you were referring to the Achieve 3000 program, you referenced 140 Lexile point change. One of the things that we saw in the past was that the Lexile changes were pretty steep in the elementary grades, and then as they got to junior high, they flattened off and or even dropped off a little bit. Is there some reflection that's continued to be the case with this program, or is there a more steady line on the graph?
The data that they gave me did not disaggregate by grade level, but I could absolutely ask them for that to see. We see that pattern in many assessments. Yeah. But that was the overall average and achieved 3,000 again for just third grade through eighth grade. So it was just for those grade bands. But where that sits, where it's stronger or because it's an average,
Yeah.
which grade level has the higher number balancing out the lower number, I'm not sure.
And what does 140, what does that change reflect? I mean, is that a change, a complete change in level, or?
It depends where the student is. So,
Okay.
yeah. And when you refer also to RIT growth, I always use the analogy of a growth chart. If you are one of those parents that mark your children's own growth, on the door frame. So we have our daughter and our son on one, and you look at the ages and it's so you can't compare where two children are at 10 years old. Just
Right.
the RIT growth considers each student individually and how much they have grown. That is a significant amount of growth, Lexile terms, for a year, but it depends on where the student was. That could represent a student in fifth grade who started out at a really, really low Lexile, but for them, that is growth. That's significant growth, but they could still be at third grade reading level when they go on to the next grade.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean, the thing that I really appreciate about this as well is that, with, I think as Mr. Valencia referred, or referenced, we do have a lot of newcomers, and so rather than have them
Absolutely.
maybe start with smarty ants, even no matter what grade they're in, it sounds like that the product itself that Achieve 3000 kind of levels and allows them to enter where they can enter and get on board and start making some progress. So I know that's one of the difficulties with when we introduce a student into, say, fourth or fifth grade, and they're either significantly behind or because of a language barrier, they have a much tougher time accessing things. So I appreciate that too.
Yeah, and with your newcomers, this would be at teacher's discretion, how and when they would use it because it is a supplemental program. So, their expertise and when and to place this in front of a newcomer, depending on their literacy skills in their primary language, that's all the individual choice for the teacher. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
Ms. Cordero?
It just occurred to me, it states 16 site licenses, but if I think, don't we have 17 elementary sites? So is there one school that is not included?
Oh, that's right. Sorry. Thank you. Arianis Elementary selected a different supplementary literacy program.
Okay. And Achieve 3000 goes through sixth grade or eighth grade?
Through eighth grade.
Okay.
But, you have a lot less instructional time in the classroom with limited class period time to use this.
I just am much more aware of the elementary, third through sixth grade using it than junior highs. So I was just curious.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, may I have a motion?
I'll go ahead and move that the Board of Education ratify a sole source agreement with McGraw-Hill to provide student licenses and professional services for Achieve 3000 and Smarty Ants as presented.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
It is moved by Ms. Cabral and seconded by Ms. Cordero that the Board of Education ratify a sole source agreement with McGraw-Hill to provide student licenses and professional services for Achieve 3000 and Smarty Ants as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Item 12, discussion items. I believe we have no discussion items for today. Item 13, new business. Board colleagues, is there any new business that you wish for the board? Okay. Seeing none,
No. I do.
Oh.
I just am waiting.
Okay. I guess I should say, Mr. Hanson, any new business for you?
Not at this juncture, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Lara? Okay, Ms. Cabral? Okay, Ms. Cordero?
A couple of things that have been very prominent in our CSBA updates. And I know artificial intelligence is partially addressed in our board policies, but I am wondering if our district is working toward a specific policy to address that.
Yes, and actually, I believe it's in the governance calendar that's provided to the board.
Okay.
We have one on the community programs that'll be coming up and also for AI. So more to come on that. It's
And the other one, which is, you know, stirring up a lot of conversation, has to do with cell phones.
yes, we've had a lot of conversations about that as well.
You know
more
why
on
I'm
that.
just part of the
Yes.
crowd.
Thank you.
All right. So just for clarity's sake, Ms. Cordero, are you requesting that we bring those items up as an agenda item?
Well, I just am wondering if information or policies will be brought to us. And I meant to bring this up earlier. There has also been mentioned in a number of different ways, ethics training for board members. And to my knowledge, I don't think I've ever specifically attended an ethics training. And I noticed actually just today that there's an online one in October that's a couple of hours. But my understanding is that we are all supposed to have that every 2 years. So.
That's outside of what we have in the budget. Something that supplements that curriculum.
Mr. Hanson, can you speak into the mic so that everyone can hear you?
That's something we need to have outside of the MIG training. It's a supplement to that, or it's a requirement.
Well, my understanding is that publicly elected people are supposed to have that. But I don't know if specifically. So that's just a check into.
Definitely, I'll do some research on that and get back to the entire board about ethics training that you may have to take.
Not that I'm suggesting that any of us would be unethical, but I don't want us to be out of compliance either.
Thank you very much, Ms. Cordero. As far as for me, for new business, I definitely would like to receive some information around the current reading levels of our students. I believe we're scheduled at some point, Dr. McDuffie, to get that, some of that data.
Are
Do you have any-
you speaking of the like CAS scores and the LPAC?
Yeah,
testing?
and then beyond those test scores, like in a nutshell, what are the actual reading levels of our third graders? Are they reading at third grade? Are they reading at second grade? That's what I'm looking for all of our students.
That should be a part of what our CAS scores will tell us, but we'll definitely have that as a presentation as we do each year.
And do you know when we're scheduled to have that?
At this time, it's not it's not on the governance calendar, but it should be. What would you say? It is September. 11th.
Excellent. So it's coming up soon. Thank you very much. Item 14, board superintendent comments. Mr. Hollinshead.
I'm just overwhelmed by my little fluffy pen, so it's distracted. Sorry. No, I just really, in all honesty, I wanted to thank all the folks who were responsible for the gathering yesterday. That I've heard really nothing and experienced nothing but very positive thoughts about it. It was a really nice opportunity, I feel like, for all staff to either get acquainted, reacquainted, or re-enter the school or enter the school year in a really positive note. I saw many of my children's teachers. I saw friends. I saw people I didn't know that worked in the district, and now I know they do. I saw former students who were athletes that I coached. And so any number of those folks where it was really enjoyable to touch base with them. But it was really well done, very well organized, and just had a really great vibe, if you will. I mean, just the energy there was super positive. Dr. McDuffie, I appreciate your words that you spoke, and then just the creating that atmosphere to really kind of launch us into that sense of community that we're trying to achieve. I really appreciated that, and I know I'm not speaking as an individual here. I know everybody that we were all there, and so we all experienced that. So I just wanted to reference that, and then I've been over onto the Libin site to pick up my granddaughter a couple times. So that was also one of the sites that I saw in addition to Bonita and Miller, where the shade structure / solar panels have gone up, and so that's again, thank you to everybody who's been working hard at that and the fields and all the other maintenance projects that take so much time and are done in a very short window and done well. So that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Hollingshead. Mr. Lara.
Well, I was gonna say the same as Mr. Hollingshead, but yeah, it's just been exceptional over the summer to see all our schools transition, playgrounds, shade structures and everything. And I'm glad to see everybody back, and I think it's gonna be a great year.
Ms. Cabral.
Ditto. So, I did attend a couple of the events that were put on for our leadership that were coming either in as new or just returning on the 23rd. And it was great to see everybody just having one communal moment right before the beginning of the year. And the new teacher introduction week, I was there for the introduction. And it was great to see new teachers. Great to see that some of those teachers are actually people that live in Santa Maria and grew up in Santa Maria. So it's great to see them come back. And it was also good to see male teachers, more male teachers. Yes, it's good for our boys, young men to see male teachers in the classrooms. So good job, thank you. And then, of course, yesterday's luncheon, a great time, a great selection of food for everybody's diet, and yeah, great job to everybody who was out there. Good luck tomorrow, everybody. Happy New Year.
Ms. Cordero.
Yes, the event yesterday was spectacular. And thank you, Dr. McDuffie, for the very, very nice welcome letter that was sent out and the acknowledgement to everyone who worked to make yesterday's event. It seemed from an onlooker that it was seamless, that if there were glitches, they hid them well. But I didn't see anything that seemed out of whack or anything. It was just a really, really great event. And I've heard nothing but wonderful comments, and it was very nice to see familiar faces and unfamiliar ones, and just being able to say hi and thank you for being here. And your words were inspirational. And we made front page of the Santa Maria Times, and we're on all the news channels. It just gave me chills. So thank you to everyone who worked. Very hard to make that all happen. It was just amazing. New teacher week last week was also a great week of offerings for our new to the district employees or employees moving into different positions. We are introducing a pretty strong contingent of specialists in the various areas in VAPA. I know there's a lot of excitement around that. I was there 4 of the days and sat in on at least a couple of sessions each day, and it was encouraging to number one, have our own district people making the presentations for the most part. I think there were 1 or 2 contracted, but and just the enthusiasm and excitement and the ability to interact with some of our new employees and how excited they are to be here and to be able to say to them, welcome, and I know you're going to love it here. There was a quarterly schools meeting last week and all of the districts, of course, the hot conversation was on opening schools, our school bond measures for both the high school and for us, increased enrollment, the ongoing establishment of transitional kinders and how are we going to house everybody and things that are going on in the city as well. So it's been a very exciting beginning of a new school year, and I am very much looking forward to getting out, visiting classrooms, meeting some of our new people, and just hoping that everyone has the jitters for tomorrow, because I know even as a very veteran teacher, the night before was always either almost sleepless or very restless. And I was up way before the alarm went off. So good luck tomorrow. Make it a great day for yourself and your students.
Some of the things for me that I really wanted to highlight are, one of the updates that we received was regarding our dual language immersion program. And I want to share with you a really wonderful success that our students recently had. So we had 10 students that took the AP Spanish language and culture test, and 9 out of those 10 passed that test. These are 8th graders, they're barely going to be 9th graders. And so there are high school students that are seniors that aren't able to pass this test even after they've taken Spanish courses at the high school level. And so I think, there's a reason why so many of our families want to send their students to Jimenez. It's, in many ways, one of the gems, is that it offers that dual language immersion program. So the other day I was walking at Waller Park, and a former student came up to me and said, hey, this is my baby, and I want my baby to have dual immersion, when they get to school. The challenge is that's the only school site that we have right now that offers this wonderful service. So one of the things that I'm constantly challenging Dr. McDuffie, challenging, everyone really, is to think about how do we expand that so it's offered at all of our sites. And I know that one of the challenges is having the staff, right, that have the qualifications. It's not easy to become a teacher that teaches in these programs. But if that's not the case yet, how are we developing the pipeline so that teachers that are interested in doing that, we provide them the skills, the training, and then are we, making sure that we're intentional with our hiring practices, right? So that we are attracting folks that want to provide those services. So it's been interesting because over the last few months, it's, something that constantly folks are informing me about in the community as a priority. So as a representative of the community, I want to make sure that I'm elevating that and highlighting that. In addition, I want to thank Rigetti High School for allowing our 8th graders at Jimenez to test at their site, because they're used to mostly testing high school students. So they did have to do some logistical planning to make that happen. So I really want to give a shout out to Rigetti High School for doing that. I also saw on the news that shade structures, I believe, are now available. I think, as Mr. Hollington was mentioning, battles. Also, ACs are now available at some of our sites that previously didn't have them at all the sites now. And I was I was joking with Dr. McDuffie that he should add that to his resume, because teachers will never forget you and the students for, of course, and our staff. I was just joking with him personally, right? But it seems small from the outside, but if you've ever been in a classroom that's too hot, it's no joke. Good luck learning, good luck focusing, and these are things that our teachers are dealing with, our staff are dealing with on a regular basis. We've heard from our staff directly from them. We've heard from our students. And so I know that sometimes things are slow, budgets are, a challenge sometimes, right? So I really want to thank our staff for making that happen so that our young people can focus better in the classroom. As I mentioned earlier, I had the privilege of attending the California Latino School Board Association Conference, and I wanted to share a couple of the key learnings or some of the key takeaways. One of them was this is sort of a pop quiz for all of you since class is starting tomorrow. What do you think is the number one accelerator for student success? And you don't have to say it out loud. Just think about that. And how would you fill in that blank? The number one accelerator for student success is, and if you have anything related to relationships, then you got 100%. We know this. We talk about this a lot. In one of the workshops that I attended regarding the power of ethnic studies, they talked about connection before content. So if we are not intentional with developing the strong relationship with our young people, then it's going to be more of a challenge, right, to connect with them and to teach them. But if they know, right, that we have their backs, then they're going to be all in. So it's nice to be reminded of those things, even though I've learned them in college and I get them in professional development sometimes. It's always good to just be reminded of that. They talked about how even just having one adult who looks like our students, who sounds like our students, who talks like our students can be another hook for our young people. So I spoke with somebody who works in security at Fessler recently, and he talked to me about how the way he looks, the way he dresses, our young people look at him as a role model and they see themselves in him. And they see that he talks to them about his family, about his culture, talks to them about his experiences when he was their age. So it fills my heart, to see that not just our teachers, our educators, but our security, our bus drivers, our cafeteria staff, the folks that help our students walk across the street every day, all of us are educating our young people. So that's another thing that they talked about at the conference was not losing sight of the fact that all of us have a role to play in the education of our young people. Some other key takeaways were the mentioning of the importance of connecting what happens at school to what happens at home. So I was complimenting one of our staff about the Loteria lanyard that they were wearing. It's a good example of that, right? So how are we finding creative and fun ways to connect what's happening at school to what's happening in the home? So it doesn't feel like they're two separate worlds. They also talked about the current state of English learners, which we know in California as a whole, we're in dire straits. We know we have much to do, but I love the fact that we are not trying to hide the fact that we have areas for growth, right? That's why we're all here, because we have a growth mindset. So I'm looking forward to, Dr. McDuffie, you did receive a booklet, right, of that latest research that they provided us?
Yes.
Okay, so excellent. So yeah, please share that with our staff. At the very least, looking at, the executive summary, because they do have some good recommendations in that text.
I believe staff already has that.
Oh, excellent.
Yes.
Excellent. Some other key takeaways that were mentioned, just like I was mentioning earlier, are, we keep doing the same things over again, then how can we expect the data to change, right? So I know it's easy to get stuck on what we've done in the past. I'm just as guilty of it myself. But again, it's good to be reminded of if we want different outcomes, we have to do things differently. They also talked about the importance of removing barriers to any of our students that participate in any of our programs, whether that's after school programs or anything like that. So that was also wonderful to hear. Oftentimes these barriers are not intentional, right? I don't know of any adult at my school site here or at Santa Maria High School that intentionally wants to harm kids or hurt kids. But we also know that sometimes, we do so unintentionally. So if we are causing harm in any way, how can we remedy that? One of the great workshops that I attended was also talking about our interview questions. And they talked about, a traditional interview question often starts with, well, tell us a little bit about yourself, right? That's like, a cliche. Or what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then you try to turn a weakness into a positive, right? The best you can. And so what they talked about was the importance of if our values are about inclusivity, about the whole child, then how are our interview questions getting at that core? So that's a challenge that I presented to Dr. McDuffie is, hey, let's take a look at our interview questions and do they match our new strategic plan? Do they match our vision? Do they match our vision? And if they do not, then how can we align those things? Hispanic Heritage Month is coming up. I appreciate that our staff is doing the resolutions about a month before or a couple weeks before the month. That way our staff hopefully have the time. I know the first couple of days of school is a big challenge. Let's just get the basics kind of in order and make sure our schools are running smoothly. But one of the challenges that I have for all of our staff is who does it best. So in other words, which school site can do it the most creatively, the most fun, the most educational? Our student population is approximately 95% Latino and Indigenous. So how are we making sure that their culture is reflected and that the month that is dedicated to celebrating their culture is being elevated? So I look forward to hearing all the wonderful things that are going to be happening at our school sites. And I also just want to say thank you and welcome to all of our staff for a new school year. I know we have some new staff. I know we have veteran staff. And as a high school teacher myself, I feel those jitters still. Absolutely excited about who's coming in. Nervous also about who's coming in because I know sometimes our young people come with challenges. And they often will express those challenges or those circumstances in our classrooms. So I really appreciate hearing from people like Dr. Rios about the importance of not giving up on our young people when they give us a tough time in class, because we know that's going to happen. So when it does happen, how are we going to be that adult ready to support them and then come together as a team and as a staff? Because Dr. Rios was somebody who was involved in gangs, who was nearly expelled from school, but one teacher took him under her wing and showed him the support. She told him something along the lines of, I care about you, but I cannot carry you. And so how do we make sure that our young people who can be the future professors of UCSB, how do we make sure that they are supported, especially those that give us the hardest time? So that's a challenge that I have for myself that I'm looking forward to doing myself as a teacher. And I want to thank all of our staff. And I wish you all a lot of fun this year. I wish you all to fail forward. So try new things and learn from each other and let's enjoy the process as we do it. So thank you very much and have a great school year.
Thank you, President Valencia, board members. I like that saying, "Fell forward." We fell forward yesterday, but it was a huge success. I was just very grateful to all of you for showing up and being there and being a part of this community. Grateful to all the SMBSD members who joined their colleagues yesterday. It was our inaugural kickoff celebration for the new school year. The response to our call for a unified educational community was answered loud and clear. There were droves of people. It scared me half to death. I almost fainted. There were people from every school, every department, from the district, every job designation in the district. And they were all present to show support for what we were doing for one another, for our families, and most importantly, for our students. That's why we're all here. I shared with them about unity and unity being our strength. When we work together as one, we create an environment where hope flourishes and faith in our collective mission deepens. And I talked about that mission and the three key elements of our mission statement, that we all want our students to flourish, discovering their passion and purpose, exercising their self-determination, and developing the skills to reach their maximal potential. So on behalf of the district and the board, I'd like to thank our primary sponsors. We had Santa Barbara Teachers Federal Credit Union out there, Dignity Health, who helped make this event a success. Also, we had Rotarians out. We had Kiwanis out helping and volunteering. They just did an awesome job. On my behalf, I'd like to thank Maiju Lo Chung Vu and the Kickoff Celebration Committee, which was Dr. Tammy Castillo Schiffer, Also Martita La Barrios, Ida Hernandez Garcia, Elizabeth Flores, Juan Uribe, Maggie White, Maria Cortez, and Mary Guardado. For making the vision that I had for this all staff luncheon become a reality. I know the group is already talking about making next year's kickoff an even bigger, better celebration for our district. And so I'm just very excited about this new year. I've created a welcome video. That video will be going out to staff tomorrow. It'll be going out to parents via Parent Square as well. And it speaks on the theme of community unity. I wanted to do a video opposed to just writing it down. And our digital media specialist, Sasha Hernandez, did an outstanding job. And of course, the big story, everyone. Thank you. School starts tomorrow. More than 2,600 employees will be ready for nearly 18,000 students to head back to their classrooms. That's what we have right now. It's an awesome experience that we take for granted because we do it so well. When you think about it, there are thousands of moving parts that must come together cohesively for every student and every family to have an incredible first day of school for 24-25 school year. Thank you everyone who's made it possible, especially our maintenance operations team, for the tremendous work you guys are doing. Thank you, Javier. For our students to have a remarkable experience returning to campus tomorrow takes a team to create a positive and productive start to the school year. And because of all of your collective efforts, our students will be off to a great start. All right, we have a schedule of district office administrators and TOSAs who will be assisting at each of the schools in the morning, adding extra support and personnel to help meet all those questions and situations that arise on the first day of school, answering those questions. I know that all of our schools invite our board members, if available. I know you won't be required to be dealing with your own students, but to stop by the office support if possible. I want to encourage all of our staff members and students to get a good night's sleep tonight. I am going to do that myself, and hopefully everyone in this room will be able to do that. But tomorrow will be a busy and exciting day. I always love the first day of school. As we begin this new school year, let's embrace the opportunity to start fresh with a positive outlook and attitude with our mission and beliefs in mind. To our dedicated staff, your enthusiasm and commitment set the tone for our students' success. Remember, every day is a chance to inspire and make a difference. I think you were saying this, Linda, make it a great day or not. Really, make it a great day or not. The choice is yours. So knowing that, to our students, this is your time to shine. Come to school ready to learn, grow, and support one another. Positive attitude really turns any challenge into opportunity. So we together, again, can achieve great things. Let's make this year one filled with curiosity, with kindness, of course, and determination. Let's step into this new school year with the confidence, ready to make it the best one yet. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Item 15, adjournment. The next regular school board meeting of the Santa Maria Bonita School District will be held on Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. There being no further business before the board, may I have a motion to adjourn? It is moved by Ms. Cordero, seconded by Mr. Lara to adjourn the meeting. All in favor? The time is now 7:22